Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy birthday to you, even if it's not your real birthday today, because every day is your birthday if you choose to celebrate life. And every day is the first day of the rest of your life. I think I may have done that the wrong way around, but never mind. This is Ilfracombe, and I am at the top of this hill. So I live, sorry, I should flip down just for a second. So I'm currently living in a little house up there somewhere. I know where it is. And when I take photographs of the sea views, this little house up here comes into my shots quite often. And I thought I'd come up here to see where it was. But it's actually an abandoned house, as you can see. There's nobody living here. It's a bit of a mess. There is fences up to stop people going into it. And it's kind of one of those sort of spooky abandoned house on the hill kind of affairs. You wouldn't want to come up here at night, that's for sure. It's a little bit dodgy. I'm going to flip the camera around slightly again. And we're going to talk about, sorry, by the way, talk about inner voices in a second, but this is also relevant because this is when you have those little inner voices. It's like it's a sort of haunted house on the hill kind of scenario. So yeah, I have these barriers up here, and I did go all the way over there to see what was going on. There's basically a straight cliff goes straight down there onto the tunnels, beaches below. So it's a little bit hairy. Have to be very careful, obviously, because these barriers are here for a very good reason. And I was indeed very, very careful. And obviously I'm still here, so I did okay. Hello, anyway, happy birthday to you. Hope you're well and having a lovely Tuesday morning so far. Hello, viewer, by the way. How are you doing? I'm just going to get my list of people whose birthdays it is up on the screen. There you go. While I also give you a nice view of Ilfracombe behind me while I talk for a bit. Got this new cool thing with just a little elastic band, actually, just helps hold the camera. So I have these, because often I find there's nowhere to put my camera. So it's nice in here anyway. So yeah, but anyway, negative voices inside our heads and stress, constant stress as well. And I think they both come in conjunction with each other. And in the notes below this video, you'll see there's a link to Dr. Ethan Cross, I think his name was, a top 10 from Evan Carmichael. And it's quite cool because he talks about his inner voice, talks about stress and how actually it's really good for your body, and how we can have these conversations with people and how we can help other people have these conversations. It's a really, really useful video. It's well worth watching. I could take a few things from this. It's the same sort of stuff as I would teach people as well, but obviously when it's chopped down from lots of other talks and made into one little video, it's only 20 minutes long. It's kind of cool. Yeah, so we all have this. Well, not everybody. I have a job to do. There are a few people I've met who say they haven't got this little inner voice. I suspect they have got the little inner voice, but it's just not coming across to them as if it's an inner voice, because they have thoughts, they have to make decisions about things, they have to decide whether or not. The way I always talk about it is if you're in a shop and you've got a 4 pint of milk and you've got two pints of milk, and you're trying to work out which one's the cheaper of the two, you've got to do some maths in your head, or you've got to do somehow you have to make a decision as between which one you have to choose between two pints or one 4 pint. If they're different prices, of course. If they're exactly the same price, it's obvious, but and also whether or not you want them as well, because I always had this conversation once with a lady in I think it was in Asda we were in, and I just noticed that there was a 16 pack of, I can't remember the exact numbers on these, 16 pack of toilet roll, and it was something like half price, something ridiculous, and it was something like £7, let's just say £7 for the sake of argument, and then so I just picked up this and put it in my basket, or my trolley, obviously, and this lady next to me had picked up a 4-pack, which was something like £3.99 or something. It's like a £1 a roll. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Get one of these, it's 16. It's like 4 times as much toilet roll for only twice the price. It's, why wouldn't you do that? She said, oh, I only need 1 roll. So I don't even need the 4. I just want the 1. And I was like, well, yeah, but you can buy the 16 and they'll last you for years. Oh, but I've got nowhere to put it. And you're like, well, sell it to your neighbours. It's like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, you could buy the 4-pack and then sell 1 4-pack to somebody else down the road for £4, and or two of the 4s, and you still got 8 left. And anyway, it was just interesting. And I've had a couple of people say, oh, no, I just pick up the one that makes sense. I don't even think about whether or not I should choose one over the other. I just pick up the one that makes most sense. So it's an interesting concept. But anyway, let's just assume for a second that we all have this voice inside our heads that makes us decide things, get scared of the scary house. You come here in the dark and it would be quite scary, but here in the daytime, it's not so scary. We all have this chatter that goes on inside our heads. Let's just assume that that's true, even if it doesn't, whatever. I think most people would recognise that little chatter that they have inside their head. Let's put it that way, yes, that's probably the best way of doing it, isn't it? Most people would recognise the little chatter they have inside their head. So they have conversations with themselves about their lives. They regret things that they did yesterday. They're planning things that they want to do for tomorrow. And this guy actually talks about how it's a really useful thing to have, this the ability to think through potential future situations. Other animals don't have this thought. They don't have this ability to kind of look forward and plan for the future, which is why humans have evolved to be the dominant species on the earth. In general, obviously there are exceptions to these rules and so forth, but in general we have this ability to plan. But of course there's also to our detriment as well, because we have this ability to worry about things that might happen in the future. We tend to have a tendency to have the ability to worry about things in the future. So we can concern ourselves and go, okay, so what can we do about these things in the future and figure it out? But it also means that we can go, oh, there's this potentially scary thing that might happen in the future. So for example, when I was looking behind me over here, I just flipped the camera around quickly. Hello Jeff, thanks for watching. You can see it over there. Can't see if you can get my fingers. Oops, sorry. Over there, anyway. There's a cliff off the edge there. Now, I could say, it'd be really, really scary to go and stand over by the cliff there. It might collapse underneath me. I might fall and die and so forth. But actually, if I'm really careful, think about it, well, of course, what I can do is I can think to myself, okay, there is a cliff over there. It is dangerous. I need to be really careful. And so I can be really, really careful as I'm approaching it and just recognise it and test it a little bit. So I've got all my weight on my back foot and I'm on the right foot. I'm pushing down going, okay, that's pretty safe. That's basically secure. I'm not getting that close to the edge, but I'm just sort of exaggerating it for the purposes of this video. But you can do that sort of thing. You can do that sort of pre-planning and going, is it scary? Should I worry about it? And then be safe and careful because of that. I mean, this house, for example, a little bit scary, but I could come over here at night now and I wouldn't be quite so worried about it. I might be worried if there are people inside there, but I can see that the windows are boarded up and the doors are screwed shut and so forth. So fairly safe. I might also worry about when I'm coming up the driveway as well. So somebody's going to say to me, no, you can't go up there. You're not allowed to go up there. And that might stop me from actually even trying. So I might have just said, oh, I won't go up there because somebody might stop me from going up the driveway. I won't bother going up the driveway. Whereas what I did is I just walked up here and I just said, well, if somebody comes along, I just say, I just wanted to see what this house was because I can see it from. I can have that conversation, so I can plan and just say, well, can I just have that conversation? I just want to go up there and take a photograph back over Ilfracombe from this house that I can see from my house. Want to see what it is and so forth. And I reckon nobody would stop you really on that. Unless it was private land and it was like, no. But then you just have a conversation with them, have a nice friendly conversation with it. But it didn't stop me from having a go, taking the steps, taking a chance and so forth. I have voices inside my head which do stop me taking decisions and making things move forward in my business, for example. These things do hold me back, and they are causing me problems and they are causing me stress, which is what Dr. Ethan Hawke he's a movie star, isn't he? Yes, Ethan Hawke. Dr. Ethan Cross is talking about in his video, in the video below, about how stress can be useful. I can't remember what was going on. I've completely lost my train of thought. I think it was basically saying that stress can be useful because it can make you think about the dangers, the potential dangers. But the problem is, I think that's where I was going with that. The problem is that when we get ourselves stressful situations and then continually stay in this stressful situations. So I've talked about this before, the fight or flight. So you get into this fight or flight thing, and then you come back down off the fight and flight, and your body calms down. If you think about an antelope who's running away from a lion or a tiger or whatever, and then they get away and they're safe, and then it just goes back to grazing on the grass again. It doesn't really think about, there might be, because you can imagine an antelope would just be like this terrified thing constantly. A lion might get me, and they're like never eating the grass because they're too scared to put their head down to eat the grass because they're constantly looking, I don't know. About the lions, and then they just die because they haven't been eating, and that's kind of what happens to us. When we get into these scenarios where we're overthinking things, over-processing stuff, causing ourselves to get stuck into this stress response constantly, and then our body starts to react to it. It was a really cool, I listened to a couple of cool Blinkist books of the day, last couple of days, about eating and depression and the link between the two. Absolutely fascinating stuff. And today, actually, I was going to say today's Blinkist book of the day is not relevant at all. It's all about swear words, which is quite interesting, but not relevant to this at all. Although, when we're stressed, we tend to swear. But it's interesting where those words come from, the etymology of them as well, and how certain words were never even used in the old days, and there weren't even swear words back in the old days as well. And they've become swear words in recent times, which is pretty interesting, fascinating stuff. But yeah, so if our stress systems are too high too often, then our body starts to react to that, and it starts to shut down, it starts to have problems. And there's a fair bit of evidence coming out now that things like illnesses and diseases and cancer and so forth are not necessarily caused by, but exasperated. Is that the right word? Exasperated by being in a constant state of stress. Absolutely no question that people who are constantly stressed out will be more affected by COVID, because their body is still dealing with that stress constantly. So then when you get affected by the COVID, it becomes a comorbidity. They talk about, the people who are suffering have the comorbidity. So this other thing that's happening inside their bodies that makes them more susceptible, because the body's fighting this other thing, and therefore it hasn't got the power to fight the COVID when it comes in. And so you've got to watch out for those things. And of course, stress around the COVID in the first place can cause that stress that then causes you to be susceptible to the disease. I keep calling it the COVID. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Anyway. But all these voices, we have the ability to control those voices. We have the ability to have a chat, have a conversation with ourselves and say, we don't need to have that negative chatter. We can make it into a positive chatter. And if you watch the video below, he talks about a lot about how you can do that. But essentially, it's about recognizing and being aware of the fact that you've got this negative chatter going on inside your head, and then just twisting it round. My friend Jill Stanton uses the phrase catch, cancel, correct. So she says, catch myself thinking these negative thoughts, cancel the negative thoughts, correct it into a more positive thought moving forward, which is a really cool way of doing it. I like that, catch, cancel, correct. Feel free to use that one going forward yourself. So like I said, we also have this tendency, sorry, I want to go back to depression, which is my speciality really, is that we have a tendency to overthink things that have happened in our past and just replay and overplay things that have happened in the past, and that can cause us stress in the present. So we're taking this negative thing that happened in the past, replay it over in our heads, keep it replaying, and it causes us stress in our current situation as well. And then of course we then project that forward into the future and then create anxiety about the future. Oh my God, this terrible thing that happened in the past might happen again in the future. What am I going to do with my life? My life is worth living, it's terrible, and that kind of stuff. And it just causes a nightmare. Catch those negative thoughts, cancel them, correct them into more positive thoughts. You can learn from the past. That's one of the things we can do. We can say, look at these things that happened in the past, learn from them. What are the lessons we can learn from them? How can we make that better moving forward and avoid those painful things in the future? How can I avoid falling off the cliff in the future, for example? Okay, I've forgotten to say happy birthday to the people whose real birthdays it is today, and I've forgotten to do the breathing exercise. But that's really useful for when you're suffering from the stress thing. So when you want to bring that stress response down, turn the parasympathetic nervous system back into a sympathetic nervous system, which is what happens when the antelope starts eating the grass again. The parasympathetic system comes into effect, and they calm the whole body down, and they just go back to being able to eat and process food and deal with diseases and all that kind of stuff successfully, rather than just fighting or running away from the lion, for example. Okay, cool. So happy birthday to Jackie, Stephanie, James, Petronila, Richard, Nathalie and Tony. All of you, happy birthday today. I hope you have a lovely day, and we're going to wish them a happy birthday now with the breathing exercise. We're going to blow out one candle. What's the one thing we're going to get done today? What's the one thought we're going to cancel today? 5 in through the nose. Hand on heart. Light the candles on your left hand while you're holding the breath, and then blow out the candles on your left hand. Feel the breath on the end of your fingers, and that calms your whole system down. Do that 5 times, ideally, and that will calm your whole body down. It's beautiful, isn't it? And you can wish them a happy birthday, and wish yourself a happy birthday while you're doing it as well. Fantastic. Congratulations, by the way, also on Karsten Warholm, who won the 400 metres hurdles today and broke the world record by like 3/4 of a second or something ridiculous. So well done to him. That was fantastic to watch this morning. That's why I'm a little bit all over the place this morning. Anyway, take care. That's me done. Have a lovely Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.